Ladies and gentlemen, today is a very exciting topic because we're talking about champagne. We're popping bubbles. And so, first and foremost, I want to dedicate this lovely video to my cousin Charlotte, the queen of champagne in our family. This is a toast to you, my dear, and I hope that you live to see over 100. Let's get into it. What makes champagne wine so bloody expensive? Over here, I got three sparkling wines. One of them is obviously a champagne at 3 different price points. And I want you to see if you guys can truly see the difference between them. Obviously, the champagne on the right is right here. You see how clear the color is and how aggressive those bubbles are. And I'm going to zoom you in. Now, do you understand why I like the flute? Do you see how fine the bubbles are? Small bubbles. Alright, very controlled. Alright, it looks a lot more aggressive on this camera for some weird reason. Anyway. Okay. That is done in method traditional. And I'll explain each method as I show you the wines. But let me show you them all first. Next up, you see how the bubbles are a lot slower and a lot larger. This is the Carbonation method. And lastly, okay, we're going to be looking at this guy. And do you see how big the bubbles are? Huge big bubbles shooting up super fast. And that is just a simple carbonation method. Let's start with the two simple ones to begin with. Carbonation method is you got yourself a cheap bottle of white, pump the full carbon dioxide, Bob's your uncle. Tastes like a Chardonnay, but it bubbles too aggressively on your tongue. And not a good Chardonnay in that. But you know, believe it or not, it's bloody quaffable. The irony is champagne and sparkling wines inherently seem to have a certain degree of quality. So if I was stuck to order a white wine at a rather cheap restaurant, I'd go with the sparkling because for some reason they seem to end up making really quite sublime wines, even at a super cheap price point. Like, I'd go back for a second glass of that, but I know for a fact it's not champagne. The Carbonation method. The Carbonation method is where they ferment in an enormous, big stainless steel tank that has the capacity to hold pressure. And as carbon dioxide builds up, the filtration method is run on a centrifuge. So they spin it around super fast. And what happens is all the contaminants sink down to one side. And when they filter out the wine under pressure into the bottles, it's technically speaking already undergone its pressure fermentation. And all the crap is always going to be staying at the bottom. It's a great method of keeping all the solids from the fermentation out of the bottle. So this yields a very high-end sparkling wine. However, it is nowhere near as complex as the method traditional, which I shall explain. Oh Christ, there is a leap in quality. Not just a jump. This is a full-on, I just jumped off of the throat of the world in Skyrim. Alright? That is a huge leap. That's Assassin's Creed leap of faith difference. It's insane. That is so good. That's cracker. Yarra Valley kicks ass. Really it does. Anyway, much more development in the fruits. The acidity is super balanced. The bubbles are fine. My God, that's good. God bless Australia. Really, it's really good. And then we come to the pièce de résistance. Okay? Real deal champagne. And you can see how fine the bubbles are, how controlled they are. It's a high-end bottle of wine. Now let me explain how champagne came to understand the method traditional. Believe it or not, once upon a time, champagne made crap wine. Shock horror. Like, it's hard to believe, I know. They made wine that was super acidic, very astringent, and their biggest competitor was Burgundy. Because both of them had been growing Chardonnay and Pinot Meunier. And so it wasn't until the 1700s where Dom Perignon himself, right, the father of French champagne, came up with the method traditionnel. You see, champagne is pound for pound, dollar for dollar, all right, space for space, the most expensive agricultural growing land on earth. It's over €1 million per square acre. And so for any like any champagne house or wine house, to be able to produce a single bottle of wine of half decent quality from what they have on the floor, good luck. You had to buy from other vineyards, and they had to have a little bartering system. Okay, some vineyards were excellent, some vineyards were okay, and some vineyards were not that good. Okay, and then the government came through and regulated which ones were A-grade vineyards, B-grade vineyards, and C-grade vineyards. And different champagne houses had to pay the levy. So for example, all right, I'll try to simplify it. Per kilo, it's $100 for grapes. An A-grade vineyard will get $100 per kilo for its grapes. B-grade vineyard will get $95 on the kilo for his grapes, and then a C-grade vineyard will get $80 on the kilo for his grapes. And so different wineries had contracts with different vineyards in order to make their signature non-vintage blend that everyone can know and love as Moet Chandon, Mum, Veuve Clicquot, you know? Now, method traditionnel, simplified. They get all these grapes from all these different vineyards, they turn them into wine, and they separate them. This one's from vineyard A, this one's from vineyard B, this one's from vineyard C. Okay, and very strictly, the master of the house blends those together, so he tastes the wine and he goes, this is a high quality wine, let's put these bubbles in. They bottle it, and they add a shot of the unprocessed sweet wine before it's been like added to the yeast and turned into alcohol, and a shot of sugar. And then they cap it off with one-time fits, similar to what we already have, a little crown fits. And then they slowly rotate the bottle, 1/8 every single day for several years, until eventually it's upside down, and what's going to happen is all the sediment's going to go up to the neck. And you notice that these necks to this day are really quite elegant and they're nice and long. There's a reason for that. It's not just for looks. You see, what happens is after a year where all the sediment has finally reached the top, or 2 years or 3 years, every champagne house has its different process. All the contaminants will be stuck in that neck, and they cryogenically freeze them quickly. And what happens is that they all freeze up in that neck, but all the pressure is still held up in the back of that bottle. So they just dip it through like liquid nitrogen. And so in the champagne house, I'm not making this up, they pop the lid and the pressure shoots out the contaminated ice. And in a couple of seconds, that guy holding the bottle has to find a way to seal it back up onto a silicone tubing to not lose the pressure. More fresh juice and is shot into the bottle to make sure that no pressure is lost and no liquid is lost, and is recapped and then aged. Thus, the fine bubbles are achieved, and it is that complex. No one bottle can be used twice, because a single scratch on one of these phenomenal bottles decreases its stability by 30%. We wonder why champagne's so expensive. Now you know why. Cheers. Oh, fuck. I really don't like to be that guy, but price does matter. I'm so sorry. That is years ahead of this. That's bloody good. That's nice. That's nice. That's great. That's exceptional. You get the taste of what only can be achieved with bottle fermentation. You get baked goods, you get butter. All right, you get almost croissants on the nose. I'm not being a wine snob. I'm telling you now, I drink all of these. But today, this is a toast to Charlotte. Cheers, Angel, to your good health. And hopefully you guys understand the difference between cheap and champagne. And just for your information, This here is a $5 bottle. This here is a $35 bottle. This here is a $85 bottle. Cheers, guys. To your good health, and I hope that you learned something. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you.